I think we're live. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of GMAT Club's GMAT Debriefs. Today, we are joined by Vinayak. Did I pronounce that right?
It's Vinayak.
Vinayak. We practiced this and I already screwed up. Who has graciously decided that he wants to go through the ringer of my questions and to take part in a debrief. And we really appreciate him doing that. So, Vinayak, thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me, Evan. Thank you for having me.
Now, before we dive into questions, I want the users watching this, not like currently, and we only have 6. You guys need to do better. But those who are going to watch this in the future when it's not live, to know that I have not read Vinayak's debrief. And some of you are thinking, well, why didn't he? Well, I'm doing that for a couple of reasons. The first being that I'm lazy, much like a ton of you on the forum. And so, with that mindset in mind, I wanted to make sure that when I hear the answers to my questions live, completely unfettered, I wanted to be able to react to that much like all of you will be and be able to provide follow-up questions that sort of mimic what you would be anticipating and expecting. On the flip side, but in sort of that same vein of thinking, Vinayak has not seen a single question I'm going to ask him. And I have done that as well because I want him to be truly surprised. I want that look of shock when I ask him a question that's so out of the blue and so random that he just doesn't have anything to say, because that
Oof.
is called good content. But
I wouldn't know.
also, Vinayak, it gives you an opportunity to sort of think on the spot a little bit and to give maybe more of a genuine answer than a scripted one that you were already thinking about. Sound good?
Perfect.
Great.
A little scary, but yeah.
In that line of thinking, again, your first question, can you tell me what the 15th largest state by population in the United States is?
15th. Okay. Virginia, maybe?
No, so close. We're looking for Massachusetts.
Okay. My bad.
Massachusetts.
Let me
The
write
the
that.
the home of Harvard and MIT. You might want to remember that. But you see, it's that look right there that we're aiming for during this session, because we want laughs, you want laughs, but you also want to gain some decent knowledge. So now, without further ado, Vinayak, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Vinayak Khosla. I'm from New Delhi, India. For the last 4.5 years, I've been working as a technology consultant. And I have done my undergraduation from Delhi only, in computer science engineering. And I love dancing, cooking, art and craft, uh, drawing as well. These are kind of hobbies that I have. And what else? That's it, I guess, pretty much.
Well, Vinayak, we weren't looking for your dating profile, but I'm glad you provided it anyways. He also
See,
likes long walks on the beach, ladies.
see,
So
I never miss the chance. I never miss the chance.
so now that you've introduced yourself, and we know that you're a single man who enjoys the finer points of life like dancing and cooking and art. We have a Renaissance man. Why don't we dive into the GMAT, because this is sort of why everybody's here, and it becomes a little more technical. So my first question to you is, what made you take the GMAT? What in your mind clicked and said, you know what, I got to take this test?
Right. So, Evan, when I started my professional career, I wanted to do an MBA. So, the first thing which comes to every Indian is that let's take CAT, because in India we have this CAT examination. If we clear that, we get into prestigious colleges such as IIM Bangalore, IIM Ahmedabad, and these kind of colleges.
Mhm.
So, but I wanted to have an international exposure. So that's why I Googled that I want to go to these universities. What should I do? The first step, obviously, is GMAT. So that's why I prepared for GMAT, and you have this journey.
Awesome. What was the first thing that you decided to do once you said you're taking this journey? You talked about taking a CAT. Did you come to GMAT Club right away? Did you maybe Google a couple of schools to see what their requirements were? What was that like?
So the first thing that I did was I talked to one of my friends who had already taken the GMAT and he had scored pretty well. So he did not suggest me anything that you should go to GMAT Club or any other website. So he told me that you just take the Manhattan prep guides and you just start away. Uh, so I did the same thing. To be honest, I took the Manhattan guides, and then after
Hmm.
that, I started the preparation. But whenever I was stuck at any particular question or any particular concept, I used to Google stuff. So when you're Googling, the first thing or the first link that you will find will be of GMAT Club. So that's how I got into touch with the GMAT Club, and since then, GMAT Club is my dear friend, my best friend, to be honest.
Oh, we're happy to be your best friend. And you know what? That's purposeful because students do Google, but we force you to sign up after you Google us like 7 or 8 times. So we're very glad that we caught you.
Right.
What was your timetable like when you first decided, okay, I want to take the GMAT? You talked about going to MGMAT and then GMAT Club. You were Googling things. Was your timetable to take 2 years to study for this thing? Was it
No.
more along the lines of 3 months, 6 months? What was that like?
So it was something like this, that I'll start my preparation in January and I will be taking the exam in July. That's it. This was the time period I thought. I mean, this was the timetable. So
Mm-hmm.
at that point of time, I was working very hard at my organization and I'm still working. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I didn't have that much time every day. So I thought, I think 4 5 months or 6 months of time will be enough for me because, to be honest, from my school days and in my college days as well, I was
Mm-hmm.
great at academics. So I thought it will not take me much time to conquer this exam. So that's why I took like I thought that 4 5 months or 6 months is the time period I'm looking at. And once I'm done with the books, the Manhattan books, I will jump into the mocks, and after the mocks are done, I'll take the exam. So that's how I plan my journey, but it didn't work out like that way.
No, apparently not. So you didn't hit that timetable initially.
Yeah.
What steps did you then take, knowing that you did not meet the initial goal? Because for a lot of students, that could be somewhat deflating. And we'll get into sort of the mocks that you were taking, the cats, and the tests in that time period. But just from an emotional standpoint, not hitting that goal and not necessarily seeing that progress that you wanted to see,
Hmm.
how are you able to overcome that and sort of reset and say, you know what, I understand that I'm not doing this in 3 or 6 months, but
Right.
maybe a year, maybe even 2 years if necessary.
Right. So I think the main reason even that I was like, okay, if this goal is not getting achieved in this particular timeline, I might want to spend a couple of more months. The reason was, see, I was very much motivated towards getting an MBA degree, and no matter what, I was ready to wait for a couple of months for a decent score because I was not
Mm-hmm.
getting the target score in my mocks. So I knew if I want to succeed, I should prepare more. So that's how it went. So I think
So
motivation is the prime factor. Yeah.
I was about to say, so motivation and drive. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
My goodness. And students ask all the time on GMAT Club. So I'm in the chat. By the way, I didn't mention this off the top. I apologize. My form name is Nightblade354. So I'm in the chat every single day consistently. If you have questions, I'm usually there. So please reach out. But students ask consistently, you know what? I'm starting to lose my motivation. What can I do here? And my simple response is, if you need somebody to tell you how to get motivated, maybe this isn't your dream. And it doesn't sound like you ever had that problem. You knew this was your dream. You knew that this was what you wanted, and that drive never let up, which is impressive to say the least.
Sure thing. Sure thing, even.
So kudos. If I could give you a kudos, I would. But I'll just give you a nice round of applause for now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So let's start with your first cat. When did you take your first cat, and what was the score breakdown?
You're saying the mock test, right?
Yeah, your first mock.
So the first mock that I took was, I mean, the official mock itself, the
Mhm.
first official mock that we have. So in that one, I scored somewhere around 520, 540, something like that. I mean, this
Okay.
was without any preparation or anything. It was like this only.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I took that in January only, January 2019. And then after that, the first mock after my preparation was around in July, June, July only. And at that moment I had bought expert global mocks.
Okay.
So in that I scored around 620, something like that, 620, 630.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And the score breakup was Q48 and V27, V26, V27, something like this.
Okay. So that's your first time period. That sort of your initial time frame of January to June, July.
Yes,
And so
yes.
you took the first mock just to get your official time, not official timetable. Oh my goodness. And that's why we do these live. See, ladies and gentlemen watching, these are live. We make errors, we make mistakes, but that's part of the fun. So that was part of taking that first mock test. It was an official one, was to sort of give you your baseline. Would you recommend students do that, or would you
Yes.
recommend that they not do that?
No, no, they should do it. I mean, for sure. For example, if you take this official mock at the first, maybe you will hit
Mm-hmm.
700 the first time. It is possible, right? So you get to know your starting point, right? For example, without
Mm-hmm.
even, because see, if you see the GMAT syllabus, what is there? It's only quants and verbal. And this is something which we have already been reading for years, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the concepts are still the same, right? So you can just go ahead, just look at the rules, how GMAT works, and then just take an exam just to find out what exactly where exactly you stand right now, and then you can start your preparation. I feel that you should give it at least once.
Excellent. Now, walk me through again that first. We're going to call that first time period, the January to June, July, 6 month, 7 month period. What was your study habits like? Well, were you studying in the morning? Were you studying in the afternoons, at night? How was it impacting your work, and how, if you did work at the time, and how were you able to sort of work around that?
Right, right. So even I was working full time only when I was preparing for example, for these 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
My timetable was pretty simple. So I used to wake up at 7 in the morning, and I
Mm-hmm.
used to go for workout, and then after that, obviously uh, the normal routine, we have to go to the office, and I was generally back at 7:30 or 8 p.m. Right,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that, having dinner, I used to start studying for, let's say, 2 hours every day. So it was like 9 to 11, or let's say 10 to 12, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the same routine every day. So for 6 months I was studying 2 hours per day on a weekday, and on a weekend I used to spend like 3 to 4 hours, something like that. Because
Wow.
again, during weekdays I had a lot of work, because at that moment I had just changed my job. I had switched to another company, and the job was very compelling, so I had to work my ass off there. So so two hours was 2 hours were actually were a big deal for me at that moment also, because you are so, you don't have that energy in your body to look at the computer screen again and start doing questions. But obviously you have to pick up yourself and do these kind of things, part of schedule.
Of course, if it's part of your dream and your goal. So it sounds like you're a
Yes,
night person then. The fact that you
yes,
woke up
yes,
in the morning, worked out, did your work, and then
yes.
studied at night.
Right.
This is more for my personal benefit. Were you benching, or were you doing like free exercises, running, stuff like that?
It's running stuff like that. I mean, free exercise, like for example the total circuit training, not benching, otherwise I would be buffed up.
I'm so disappointed right now. More disappointed than when you saw your first GMAT score. All right, but moving on. So tell me and tell our viewers, what was that time? What was that breakdown for that 2 hours, and sort of on the weekends that 3 to 4 hours? Were you studying just verbal at
Mhm,
one day and then quant another? Were you breaking those up evenly? And if so,
mhm.
how many questions were you doing per day of each?
So, even from the very starting, I knew that my verbal section is weak, and I'm going to do very bad on that for sure. So that's why I started with verbal only. And to be honest, for first 1.5 month or 2 month, I only studied verbal, because
Okay.
I knew that in quants I will do just fine. I don't need that much attention. But for the first 2 months, 1.5 2 months, I was only studying verbal, basically going through the Manhattan guides. I was taking my own sweet time, to be honest, just to get accustomed of all the concepts and things like that. After 2 months, I realized that yes, you need a great score in quants as well. So I
Hmm.
made a plan that for the I mean for I mean I will be studying quants and verbal on alternate days. For example, on Monday I'm studying quants, and on Tuesday I will be studying verbal, something like that. So what I used to do was I used to look at the concepts. For example, let's say in quants I'm doing let's say work related questions, right?
Hmm.
Work related concept first of all, and then after that I used to, let's say, do 15-20 questions just to practice. So
Wow.
that was, yeah,
Now, in terms of resources, were you using strictly official resources, or were
official
you
test,
using? Okay, so official
official.
exclusively for verbal and quant.
Right, right. That was one of the biggest mistake I did. I shouldn't have exhausted my, official. I believe that.
Yes.
I believe that because I shouldn't have done that, because once you are starting this preparation, you are not aware of all the concepts, and because you should use those official guide questions very judicially, right? They are the best out there, right? Because they are
Hmm.
representing the actual GMAT thingy. So I did this mistake, but I after that, when I realized this mistake, I changed it over to some
Hmm.
non-official uh, material just for the practice. But yes, once my practice was done, and I thought that yes, I'm equipped with the skills
Hmm.
which are needed for the exam, then only I touched official stuff. That's what I did later on.
Okay. And you hit on something incredibly, incredibly important, and a lot of students watching or who will watch in the future, I hope they pick up on that. You cannot exhaust your official guide questions at the very beginning, especially on the verbal side. It is so difficult to find quality sentence correction uh, questions from any other source but OG. For critical reasoning, we've leveraged LSAT really well, and so you can sort of mess around with the OG a little bit. And for reading comp, the same thing. There's no replacing sentence correction. If you burn through those, you're dead in the water. You have to treat those like gold. You have to treat that like water in a desert. You can't waste it. Vinayak, I really appreciate you bringing that up. So fast forward now, we've been studying 2, maybe 3 to 4 hours a day. You're working full time. You're putting in all this time into verbal at the beginning and then quant as well. And we get to and you've taken 2 mock tests, correct? You took the official and then you took experts global. No?
So basically, I scheduled my exam for September to 2019 only.
Okay.
So just before 1 month, basically just before the exam, uh, uh, I took the official mock again. Okay.
Okay.
So
The
right,
same one
because
you took originally.
exactly, exactly.
Okay.
So in that mock, the official mock, I got 620. Okay. So first of all, I looked at the screen. I thought 620. Okay, I have prepared too much and I'm getting 620. Okay, no worries. It might be just a bad day. Let me take another mock. Okay,
Okay.
let me take another mock. So I took another mock, and in that mock, I scored 610. Uh, Again, which
Okay.
was a bummer for me, right? But uh, the other step, which I'm just going to tell you now, it's one of the biggest mistake I did. I took all the tests. I mean, all six, because I
All
was too
6 official ones?
exactly. I did that.
Oh.
I thought, see, I never anticipated that I'm going to take 2 years, right? I never anticipated that. So, so I took all six tests just to see what exactly I'm doing wrong. Just in a hope that, let's suppose, in another mock I'll do good, in another mock I'll do good.
Hmm.
But the trend was very simple. I was scoring Q48 in quants, and in
Hmm.
verbal I was just scoring let's say V27, V28, and on a good day I was scoring V29, something like that,
Okay.
right? That's what's the kind of trend I was seeing. But I thought, see, I have invested so much time, and I really want to take the test. I would just want to see maybe a magic will happen on the test day, and I will score good. It is possible, right? So
Okay.
then after that, in September, I went to the test center, and after the exam I got 610. That
Okay.
was my first official score.
Okay. It's 610. And by the way, this is pre-COVID times, obviously, because you went to a
Oh
test center.
yes, 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 yes.
And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, those who are watching, so Vinayak at this point in his studies, 9 months in, you sort of hear things that every student says, which is, I've invested so much time. It's a sunken cost at this point. I don't want to give it up, but I'm not seeing progress. Oh, and by the way, again, just to add on to this, this is proof that you can literally shoot yourself in the foot and still get an incredible score. This right here, again, what was that say? A 730. Again, shows that I didn't actually.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, this actually does show that I did not read the debrief because I didn't even remember your score. So I apologize about that. But you can still get a 730 by blowing off both your feet and literally leaving yourself for dead. And no offense, but I mean, this is this is a sketch comedy right now. All right. So you now walk me through. You've exhausted your six official mock tests. You have exhausted your entire official guide questions. You're sitting on a 610 after 9 months.
Right.
Tell me what you were thinking in that moment when the score came up that it was 610. Tell me what your plan of attack was, or was there that moment of, oh my God, what am I going to do? So walk me through that.
So the first thought that I had in mind the moment I left the test center was, when you already had seen this coming, right? Your average score of all those 6 tests was 610 only. What exactly you were thinking? Why the hell you came to the test center and wasted your one, this thing? So I thought, I saw this coming and I know what to do. I'll go back home. I'll study again. That's perfectly fine. I will take another test in maybe 1 month. Okay, that's what I
Okay.
thought. Right. So one of my friends suggested me to take a help from one private tutor in Bangalore, India.
Okay.
So I reached that person out and I told him my story that I'm struggling in verbal, and quants is not perfectly fine, but yeah, it's pretty much okay. I can live with that, but in verbal I need your help. So
Okay.
then I hired that person and we started preparation together. Uh, Now the problem was, which obviously I discovered later on in my preparation, basically in my fourth and fifth attempt, was whenever I used to talk to him, or whenever I used to attend the class, the only thing which I was doing was doing a lot of questions. Right, so that person used to give me a lot of questions, that there are 15 questions, 20 questions, just solve it and we'll discuss the answers. That's how it used to happen, right?
Okay.
But the thing was, what I needed was that somebody can tell me what approach. I mean, the approach that I'm taking is wrong. It's not about the questions, the number of questions that you're solving. It's about the approach that you're taking while solving a question. So
Preach.
I would say, you please do 5 or 6 questions per day. That's okay, perfectly fine. But just see how you're solving those questions. Is it the right way of solving the question? Solving 25, 30 questions per day is not going to help you in any way. So that was the second mistake that I did. So yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's another really great lesson that a lot of our students who come on here who score 720, 740, 760 call out. It's not about the quantity of questions. It's
Hmm,
about the fundamentals of solving those questions, because the questions just get asked in the same format again and again and again. You need to be able to recognize that, and you need to
right.
be able to diagnose that. And if you can't, you can do 50 million questions. If you don't know what they're, if you can't anticipate and you don't know how to diagnose, you're going nowhere.
That's what.
By the way, I meant to ask, what was your split on the first test, if you remember, your quant verbal split? Was it like Q45 V26?
No, it was Q48 and V26.
Oh, I was
V26,
so
V27.
close. Okay, because I want to keep that number, I want to keep those numbers in mind as we progress forward. So you sought out the tutor, they sort of started correcting you on, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality, and it's about the way you're thinking about the questions. At what point did you determine that you were ready for your second go?
So what I did was I took a few mocks at the test center. I mean, they were not official mocks.
Mm-hmm.
I first took those unofficial mocks, and I got a decent score around 700. Then after that, I took this official mock again, right?
Okay.
Uh, okay, but the problem was that I had already done those questions before. I mean, few
Mm-hmm.
of them at least. My score that I was getting was a little inflated, right? So again, getting that 700-ish figure on the screen gives you a little confidence that yes, we might do good in test, but you should keep in mind that it is an inflated score. It might give a wrong picture about
Hmm.
what exactly is your level right now. So I thought that,
Absolutely.
yeah, so I mean, in early September, I have actually written it down because I've taken so many tests that I have lost the track basically. So in early September, I took my first attempt,
Hmm.
and in late October, I took my second attempt.
Okay, so we're looking at about a 6 or 7 week period between your first attempt
Ye-
and second attempt.
Exactly, exactly,
And
exactly.
would you say you talked about it briefly, but the number of questions you did on a daily basis, I assume the quant you did quant one day, verbal on another, you sort of stuck to that one, but the number
Right,
of questions I assume came down significantly,
right.
or did you stick to the same schedule?
No, so basically, as I was mentioning earlier, I had this notion that I'm done with the fundamentals, and
Okay.
all I need to do was, a lot of questions, every day, just to make myself, habitual of these concepts or these questions. That's what I was doing,
Yep.
and again, that was not the right move. Yeah.
Okay. So you changed your course a little bit. You went from I've got the fundamentals to, well, hang on, maybe I need to refine a little bit and focus a little more. So you took your second test in October again, 6 or 7 weeks later. What was the score on that one?
So I got 630 in that one.
Okay, so we saw improvement.
Yes, yes, yes. I saw improvement in every test. To be honest, I'm fortunate enough. Thank you, God.
Okay, so you saw improvement. I assume it was on the verbal side.
No, see, here's the deal. Again, I'm a little embarrassed to say that, but so I saw improvement in verbal section, but unfortunately, I saw one. I mean, I saw a dip in quant section as well. It was like Q45 and V 28, 29, something like that.
Okay.
So that was a bummer for me again. I was not expecting that, but once I left the test center,
Mhm.
uh, I asked myself, what the hell did you do today on quants? Quants is your forte, man. You cannot mess with that. That's the only driving factor on GMAT for you. What are you doing with your life? So that was the feeling that I had once I was done with this. I remember I was
Mhm.
talking to my dad on phone after I left the test center. So he said, "What happened?" I said, "I don't know. In quants, I messed up." And he said, "What about verbal?" I said, "I have improved in verbal." So he said, "Can we take this score and apply it to colleges?" I said, "No, no way, no way." So that was the deal. But
Yeah.
after this also, I talked to my tutor. I
Mhm.
told him that this is what I got, and I'm not satisfied with it. So his services were over at that moment. So he said, "Don't
Okay.
worry, do questions every day now, and take. After 3 weeks, take another mock. Sorry, another official
Mhm.
test." After 3 weeks, that's it. So I remember I bought this advanced this thing official guide material.
Mhm.
Advanced, there is an advanced version, right? So I bought those
Mhm.
official guides, the advanced one, and started doing questions every day. Again, uh, the same routine I was following. Again, the biggest mistake of mine. Then after that, after 3 weeks, I took another test, the third attempt, in
Okay.
which I scored 640.
Okay, so we saw another 10-point increase, but you noted that again you were still making the same mistake of fundamentals are strong. But I'm going to just continue to brute force here.
Right, exactly, exactly, exactly.
Okay. So we got to so again we've got ourselves to a 640. You've seen a 30-point increase in a couple of months. You're still pushing through, but you've abandoned your tutor.
Right.
What was your mindset then at that point? Because now we're about a year into your studies, correct? We're probably around December or January.
Exactly, exactly. So I still remember when I came out of the test center. I was thinking, I was asking myself whether I have the knack for this exam or not. uh, and the thing is, every single person who I'm related to, for example, my father, my mother, my
Mm-hmm.
brother, even my friends, when I talked to them, they had more confidence than me, that you will crack this exam. Don't you worry, you have done great things in your life, you
Mm-hmm.
will for sure get this exam. But somehow, Evan, I'll tell you very frankly, I
Yeah.
thought I should be done with this thing, because this is actually consuming my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are giving attention to this exam too much, that you forget about yourself. Because see, when you see a lot of people partying out there, and spending a lot of time basically after work they're enjoying themselves, and you are just studying quants and verbal, you feel bad, why I'm not out
Yep.
there with them, why I'm not having drinks with them, things like that. So I had that feeling in mind, but
Mm-hmm.
again, I thought that I have invested so much time, and my family, my parents, everybody was supporting me, why I'm stopping then? I should give another attempt, maybe something will happen. But this
Mm-hmm.
time I told myself that I will change. I mean, the way I'm proceeding with this preparation, for sure. I have to change it, because for the last three times it didn't work. Now I have to change it completely. So
Mm-hmm.
I took 3 weeks. I mean, a break of 3 weeks. I came back to my hometown. I was working in Bangalore, India. So
Yep.
I came back to Delhi for 3 weeks. I just took a break. I went with my friends to just chillax, and then after that, when I went back to Bangalore,
Mm-hmm.
I started actually researching about how and what exactly the right way to study GMAT. To be honest, that's
Okay.
when I thought that I will not start my preparation until unless I'm equipped with the right information. So that's what I did, and
So
that
you
too in January 2020 this
okay?
year.
This January 2020. Okay, so now we're
Yeah,
into this year. You had your awakening. You had your epiphany. Yeah, you have your family and friends in your corner.
yeah.
They're pulling for you. They want you to succeed as much as you do. They're just letting your torch there. What did you do? If so, to hit on this a little more, what did you do then to change? Was it the resources that you used? Was it the tutoring services? Was it the approach? And we sort of talked about your approach change, and I want to hear a lot about that.
Right.
How what was that shift like? What was the tangible change that you applied to make that then jump from 640 to 730 and to make sure that that dream came true?
Right. So Evan, what I did was, as I said, I started my uh, research, and I uh, saw many debriefs on GMAT Club, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
started reading debriefs of the people, and mostly people who were non-native speakers, and I wanted to understand how did they improve in verbal section per se.
Yep.
So I mean, in many cases, I found that people have mentioned eGMAT, as their go-to course for verbal improvement. So, to be very honest, when I get a lot of good reviews about anything, I doubt that thing, that whether it is going to be good or not. To be very honest, I'm that kind of person, right? Because then I thought, what the hell? Let's take the course and let's
Yep.
try, right?
Okay.
So I took the course, and I followed each and every resource which was given in the course very religiously. Every day I was,
Okay.
at night I used to study those, watch those videos and do the quizzes and things like that. And I carried this schedule for 2-3 months. I think till March I completed everything.
Okay.
I was taking mocks and I was scoring well. I also took Manhattan mocks,
Okay.
because I could not take the official mocks anymore, because they were not going to give me the right picture. So I took Manhattan mocks, and they are hard for sure. I mean, they're not easy for sure. So
Mhm.
I took those mocks, and this time around I thought I'm improving actually.
Sure.
And at that moment I also started reading stuff a lot, right? I bought the subscription of The Economist, and then after that I also started reading books.
Okay.
If BB, you're watching this, thank you so much for these suggestions that you have given in your blog. So you won't believe I read The Great Gatsby, my Of Mice and Men, each and every book that he has mentioned. Now I read it.
My goodness, you're going through the United States high school curriculum uh,
Exactly,
right
exactly.
now. To Kill a Mockingbird, Mice and Men, Great Gatsby. My high school teacher would be so proud hearing that you read those.
So see what GMAT does to you. So it takes you and converts you to a avid reader. I mean, can you imagine that? I was never a reader in my life, so now I am. I cannot sleep without reading something nowadays. So that's how it
Wow.
happened. Now, even what I believe is,
Yeah.
till this journey now, basically till March 2020, I was working on my skills basically to, improve
Hmm.
myself and change my approach and things like that. And my approach did change in eGMAT course, and even if I now recollect, in Manhattan guides also, they mention that you
Hmm.
first understand the meaning of a sentence, right? It's not about those petty techniques. For example, you should look at C2 split in a sentence correction or things
Hmm.
like that. You should not think about that. We should first understand the meaning of a particular sentence, and you should see how these underlined and non-underlined portions are working together in a sentence. So I started seeing these kind of things. I
Hmm.
changed my approach completely. Now I was not treating sentence correction very technically, right? I was just reading the sentence, understanding the meaning, and then I was uh, using the process of elimination, which I was not doing previously, right? So that's how my approach.
Okay.
See again, it's not the test of, I mean, for verbal, which I believe it's not the test
Hmm.
of selection. It's, I think it's the test of rejection in most of the cases.
Yes.
So that's what I changed. And everything was going great. I thought I can now go ahead in the exam center. I can just test myself and let's see what happens. But then in March, something happened to our world, our dear world.
What could that possibly be?
Can we quiz the audience now?
Well, so to the audience, if you post any questions, we will get to them at the end. I will share them with Vinayak, and we will cover them. But if any of you want to list out why our world changed in March, please do. But Vinayak, before you list a couple, no, sort of dive into how your process physically changed, I want
Mhm.
to mention a couple of things. The first being that MGMAT mock tests, if you run out of official, those in our opinion, GMAT Club's opinion, are top quality. They're probably the second
Sure.
best outside of official. So you utilize them.
Right.
The second thing that you hit on was this test isn't about getting the correct answer necessarily. It's about eliminating. And in critical reasoning, I sort of called that out in during some of my explanations. If you can eliminate four wrong answers, you don't need to know why the fifth one's correct. You just need to know that the four others are wrong. So if you can
Exactly.
find errors in all of them, to your point, in
Mhm.
sentence correction or in reading comp, you know for a fact that that last one has to be correct. Uh,
Exactly.
so that is a really good tip that you just said. But now shifting back to you and your approach, because you did say there was a change in your approach. I
Exactly.
want to know, and the audience wants to know, I believe, I can't speak for them, how many questions were you doing per day? Were you continuing that quant verbal split? And then how were you approaching them differently?
Right. So, as I was saying, now when I was looking at any of the question, I was thinking about how or what is the right approach to solve this
Mm-hmm.
question, rather than just taking the notepad and solving the question. That was something which I changed because, but at that point as well, I was struggling with the what do you call it, the reading comprehension. I was doing good
Okay.
at sentence correction. I was doing good at critical reasoning. Critical reasoning was something very interesting for me because I was doing those questions very naturally. I was not applying any technique per se, but I was, enjoying those questions. So, and that was evident in my ESRs also, that I was consistently doing good in critical reasoning. So reading comprehension, I was still what do you call struggling with. But
Okay.
now, if coming to your question, how many questions per day I was doing, so I think I used to take this time around. I used to take again the official guide, and I
Mm-hmm.
used to mix sets of questions. For example, 10 questions.
Okay.
I'll do 10 questions of SC today, and let's say 7 or 8 questions of critical reasoning today. And I used to time myself.
I love it. I love it. Please
So
continue.
so I used to time myself this time around as well. For example, even if I'm using a book, I used to take my mobile and keep it aside, obviously on airplane mode, and I used to time myself whether I'm completing the questions in time or
Mm-hmm.
not. So then after that, I used to look at the official explanation, very calmly. For
Mm-hmm.
example, let's say I'm spending 15 minutes on 10 questions on sentence correction. I used to spend 1 hour just to understand what exactly, for example, why this option is wrong, why this option is correct also. For example, if I got an option correct also, I used to see why exactly,
Hmm.
what explanation this person, basically this official guide is has to offer. So that's how I went about it. I changed my approach. I was spending too much time in analyzing rather than solving questions. So that's what I changed there.
That's awesome. You have hit on everything that a student should learn and know over a year's long period of studying, which is the mistakes you make at the beginning and then sort of how to rectify that. Um, just so our users are clear, you mentioned GMAT, or as we call it, EggMat, depending on what you want to call it. Would you, and again, you need to please be honest here.
Yeah,
Would
yeah.
you recommend them to students who are
Mhm.
struggling on the verbal side who are non-native speakers?
Yes, definitely. I would recommend that. See, EGMAT is fun, to be very honest. It is obviously.
Interesting.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. So, see, I'm not going to say that EGMAT has something very different to offer.
Hmm.
Everything. I mean, you will obviously get that material outside as well. That is for sure.
Okay.
But eGMAT has that kind of refreshing take on how to explain verbal to non-native speakers, right? I believe
Okay.
that eGMAT actually focuses on the technique that has to be, that should be there for a non-native speaker, or even a native speaker, to solve a particular question. For example, in sentence correction, if you see,
Hmm.
I mean, they have created videos, for example, for let's say ing structures. For example, you have a sentence, then you have ing, or ed, verb ed sentences. So they have
Hmm.
created a proper section just for that, and that is a very important topic for any test taker. So I think they have identified what exactly GMAT is looking for, and they have crafted their you know uh, course very well. So you don't get bored actually, because it's very interactive session.
Hmm.
Whenever you're looking at a video, so you have quizzes at in the very end of every video or every session. So I think it's pretty fun. You can have a look for sure.
That's awesome. By the way, Vinayak is not compensated by EGMAT, although they
Can
partner.
we I don't
And I can ask. Um, although GMAT Club does partner with EGMAT, EggMat, the when students come on here and they give debriefs, they are not compensated in the least. So if they come on here and say they liked it, that is an actual review. You're hearing straight from the horse's mouth. We've had students come on here and they've bashed some of our sponsors, which is fine. That's the point of this, is to be honest with you guys.
exactly.
It's not to pad their numbers. But
Exactly.
that was a glowing review for them, so they should be very happy. Uh, now, did you use any quant, uh, I guess, prep companies? Did you use a Target Test Prep or an Empower, or was it
Mm,
mostly leaning on your fundamentals and your knowledge and using the questions?
right. So after my fourth attempt, which by the way I took in, I guess, let me check, in early June, I
Okay.
took my fourth attempt, because in March, when I mean, I was supposed to take my exam in March only,
Yep.
when COVID thing happened. I got to know that my exam is cancelled because
Okay.
test centers around the world are closing, and then after that I rescheduled my test for April. It didn't happen,
Okay.
and then I rescheduled again for May month. It didn't happen. So
Wow.
each and every time I used to reschedule my exam, it used to cancel.
Okay.
So that was something very challenging for me, because I was dying to take this test, but the test centers told me that you will actually die if you'll go out. So don't do that. So
I'd say that may have been a little fake news-ish at the time, but sure, I can understand.
so that's how it happened, again. So for at during that time period, it was very difficult
Hmm.
for me to just keep up the practice, because when in mid March, I thought I'm done with my preparation, I'm ready to take the test, and then it
Hmm.
got stretched till June, wherein I was just in a maintenance mode. I was just doing questions randomly, because I didn't know what to do now, because I was done with the preparation thingy.
Yep.
uh, but in June, fortunately, when I came back to my place, because we were working from home only, we were not supposed to go to the office. So when I
Sure.
came back to home, I rescheduled the test to June, early June only, and I went to the center with my
Okay.
mask on. Okay, so then I took my fourth test, fourth official attempt basically.
Yep.
So in which I scored 660. Now,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So this time around, my this breakup was I think Q49 and V31.
Okay, so again, we've seen improvement. We've seen improvement in quant. That was your bread and butter, and we
Yeah,
also saw improvement in verbal thanks to GMAT. So we're on our
exactly.
fourth attempt. Your home, the home cooking, the home lifestyle, mom and dad being there to help you. The home setting sounds like it probably helped you settle in a little more.
Right.
So if anyone's struggling, maybe move in with your parents for a couple of weeks. Don't blame me when they don't say GMAT Club told me to do so. We don't take any liability for that. But maybe moving in isn't the worst idea. Okay, so you see the improvement. You talked about how you were wearing a mask and how sort of you were delayed a couple of times. I imagine that was probably a little bit stressful and probably a little bit irritating and aggravating. So how did you deal with that on test day, knowing that you're finally there, you've been delayed a couple of months, and you're probably a little bit pissed off?
Right. So first, let's talk about the mask thing. When I went to the
Yeah.
center, so they told me that no matter what, you have to keep that mask on. That is our prime guideline. You cannot screw with that. I said, okay, I'll try to you know follow this guideline. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I started my exam, whenever you're doing a question, your heartbeat fastens up, right? So at that
Of
moment,
course.
obviously you will not be breathing in a normal manner, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
you have to take a mask a little down for a moment and then do the questions. And after 5 or 10 minutes, the proctor will come and he will poke you and he will say, just keep the mask on, you are not allowed to do so. So that's how it happened. Obviously I was frustrated during the exam, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, I mean, what I'm going to tell you is
Yeah.
something which I realized after my fifth attempt. Okay, right now I'm talking about the fourth attempt only, but this is
I was
something
about to say
which
you're
I
getting ahead of us here.
yes. So basically, the test was getting on my nerves at that moment because I had prepared so much. I had already given three attempts, and I was on my fourth attempt. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I was, I mean, I was about to touch 2 years of my preparation, and I have already, missed the last year's deadlines for the colleges, and now I was, trying to, apply in the round one, and I really wanted this to happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's why I think the test was getting on my nerves, and I was not able to perform optimally at that moment.
Okay.
I'm 100% sure at that moment I had the skill which was required for the exam, but still I think the mental pressure then and the anxiety actually got me on that test day, and happened
Interesting.
that happened with me. So this is something which I'm talking about, the fourth attempt, right? So
Yep.
I came back to home. My father and mom, they were like, what happened? I mean, 660, is it a good score? Is it a bad score? I said it is an okay score, but I cannot go ahead with this score. So they said, what next? I said, they said, you will get mad, right? If you will continue studying like this, you need to take a break. Or why don't you take this score, apply to the colleges, we'll see what happens. You have great academics, you are working with a great company,
Mm-hmm.
you have extracurricular, what wrong can happen? I said, I understand your point of view, but the thing
Mm-hmm.
is I have invested so much time, and this score is not representing my my potential or the kind of
Yep.
preparation I've done. I cannot let this go. So my parents were like, okay, if you want to go ahead, take your time, let's see what happens. So that moment, Evan,
Mm-hmm.
again, not sponsored, but I actually emailed EGMAT,
Yep.
talking about this thing that I didn't perform well in the exam and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked me to review my for example, the videos or basically the quizzes I had attempted on EGMAT.
Yep.
Just go and check those. I said, okay, fine. I started reviewing my this thing my quizzes and the questions I had done previously.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing that, and at that moment, there was not much to study. So basically, what I was doing
Okay.
was that I was just analyzing questions, trying to find out maybe at that moment, reading comprehension was not again up to the mark. So I started doing 1 or 2 RCs every day from official guide.
Nice.
Right, every day. I mean, I started doing these reading comprehension passages, and also I set up one recurring meeting of 2 p.m. every day,
Hmm.
wherein I used to read articles from the Economist, and 2 3 articles, 4 articles every day. And I still remember one video from this guy from Magoosh. I don't remember his name.
Mitch
uh,
McGarry.
Not McGarry, some guy with a beard. Okay, let's leave that guy
Couldn't
away.
tell you. I just know Mitch.
So in that video, he had told that, let's suppose whenever you are reading an article, make sure you are actually following the story. You are actually comprehending what exactly I've read in the first passage and how the second
Hmm.
passage is related to the same. So the technique I was following in the reading comprehension, now I was following that, the same thing in while I was reading the Economist articles as well. So it
Hmm.
actually was refreshing for me, because uh, it helps you to get what do you call, habitual about going about uh, understanding a passage, and
Hmm.
getting to the main idea of the passage. So I started doing that. This was post my fourth attempt, and I was feeling more and more confident about reading comprehension. I thought I will nail it this time for sure, nobody's going to stop me, things like that. And also I bought Manhattan advanced quants as well. There's one book
Okay.
called Advanced Quants. Yeah. So that also changed a lot of things, or basically the approach that I was taking for quants. Although I was good
Hmm.
at quants, I was scoring Q49, but somehow I knew that I can push it a little, for example, to Q50 or Q51 as well. So I bought
Sure.
advanced Manhattan guide, and I started reading it. The best thing about quants, basically the advanced book, is it talks about the strategies. Right, if you are already at Q46 plus or Q47, Q48, you can still go ahead if you follow few strategies. For example, I
Hmm.
used to make a mess when I was doing quants question. Right. So sometimes I used to do silly mistakes, because when you are not writing it properly, uh, it might happen that for example, you have written 41,
Hmm.
in the first line, and while you are doing it again, you might write 47. It is also possible. There's no doubt in that. It is also possible.
Sure.
So that's what Manhattan Advanced told, that you should at least write it clearly, whatever you're writing on your scrap paper. So
Hmm.
this is one of the many of the small advices that Manhattan Advanced gave, which actually changed the way I was taking the quants questions. So I think that also helped me to eventually get Q50, which I didn't get in my fifth attempt, but in sixth attempt I got. Yeah.
All right. So then let's move on to the fifth attempt. But actually, before we do, it sounds like your parents, and again, we've come back to this, and your friends were a huge help to you in being sort of a support structure. And I know in certain cultures, the parents aren't necessarily supportive. They can be sort of tight, and they can create a lot of pressure and a lot of anxiety because it's not, oh, you got 660. Well, what can we do to improve? It's you got 660. What's wrong with you? Would you have maybe, and again, you can't necessarily speak to it because it wasn't your experience, but can you maybe speak to a little bit how somebody can keep going, keep that motivation going, even if they don't have that support structure in place?
Right. So I think at the end of the day, Evan, it's all about you. I mean, where do you want to go in your life, and uh, how much effort you are ready to put in order to achieve something.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for example, I follow this line by Bruce Lee. He said, "To help with the circumstances, I create opportunity." That's what he said. So
Okay.
obviously these kind of adverse circumstances will come and go, right? But at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, if you have that kind of courage and determination, I think we can achieve anything we want. So in this scenario as well, I think you if you think about the end result, where you can be and what you can achieve, I think the motivation will come from within. And we should not beat ourselves up. We should do something extra as well, something which can make us happy. Basically, the way I said, the drawing, cooking, and things like that, it actually helps in your dating profile as well as in GMAT preparation. Both.
All right. So what I'm hearing there is stay motivated, be your own motivation. Don't let somebody defeat you. Use extracurriculars to help center yourself and to make sure that you don't go insane.
That's what.
Which is awesome. That's
Mhm.
exactly what you should do. You know what? Would you recommend? Me and you actually talked about this offline, but I want that shout out in there. Would you recommend watching our videos when you're feeling down or you're feeling that you're losing momentum?
So that is something which everybody should do who can.
Attaboy.
Exactly, exactly. So I was telling Evan the same thing. Uh, when I used to feel bad about myself that I'm not doing good, I'm not achieving the score I want, then I used to, wake up at night and I used to watch debriefs on YouTube and listen to people that they have, attempted GMAT these many times and then still they got the score. So I used to, see people and I used to get motivated that yes, if
Mm-hmm.
they can do it, why can't I? I mean, there is a possibility, right? Let's try. So I think these kind of videos and debriefs actually help, and everybody should have a look at these for sure. Because see, life is too short for making your own mistakes. If you can learn from somebody else's mistake, then I think nothing like it.
Well, we're not going to compensate you either, but we appreciate the shout out that I had to coax you into. By the way, you're in here. I'm disappointed in you because you didn't use my reading comprehension or critical reasoning guide. And come on,
Okay.
come
So
on, like the gold standards, and you ignored them.
see, my bad. See
Oh
what
man.
happens if you don't follow him. This happens. You take 6 attempts.
Not only do you take 6 attempts, you then get on YouTube with him and you're live, and he then chides you in front of all the people who are watching. But anyways, so we're moving on to test 5. So we're on the home stretch here, although you may not have known it at the time. You're taking your 5th test. Has the routine changed at all, or are you still doing the same thing?
Routine was pretty much the same, to be honest. There was nothing different. What I was doing was, every weekend I used to take a mock test, basically
Okay.
on Saturday. And what I was doing was, let's say my exam was at 3 p.m., right? Let's suppose. So I used to
Okay.
make sure that I was taking the test at 3 p.m. only, and I was trying to follow the same schedule or same routine that I would follow on the test day, because I had read about this a lot of time that you should do the same thing. It really helps. So I was doing the same thing. On weekends, as I said, on Saturday I used to take the test, and after the test you are so exhausted you can't do much. So on Sunday I used to see my mistakes, what I had done in the test, and then I
Mm-hmm.
used to draw a new plan for myself that I should be doing this and that for
Mm-hmm.
next couple of days. Let's suppose I faltered on work related questions, I would do work related questions, things like that. So I was progressing like this. One thing which was constant, that I was doing reading comprehension every single day. I was not skipping that thing. I was reading for sure,
Mm-hmm.
from the books that BB suggested, and the Economist articles as well. That was something which I didn't change uh,
Gotcha.
till my 6th attempt.
Okay, so it sounds like you were trying to deal or work out your stress issues, the anxiety issues, by mimicking test day, the time, just getting your body prepared, so that way it wasn't foreign. Does
Exactly.
that sound correct?
Yes, 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 yes.
Did you
It does.
did
It
you
does.
do anything else to manage your stress, or was that really the biggest thing?
I think at that point of time, this was one of the things. And second, I also started meditation and mindfulness. To be honest, I started reading blogs by Mr. McGarry from Magoosh.
Yes.
So he has written a lot of blogs on anxiety and the stress that builds up when you're taking the exam. And to be
Mm-hmm.
very honest, there is not much information, and people should also consider this fact that stress and anxiety comes with such kind of preparation, if you are taking the exam multiple times. So I
Mm-hmm.
think people should talk about that more. And when I used to read all those articles by him and others as well, I think on GMAT Club also, when I used to read those debriefs,
Mm-hmm.
people who have taken the exam for 5 times or 6 times, they mention this thing as well, that the stress builds up and it
It
gets to your
absolutely
nerves, and
does.
you're not able to take the exam properly. So I mean, I was reading all this stuff till my fifth attempt.
Okay.
So I eventually took the fifth attempt. I think, let me check again. Late July. Late
Okay.
July, I took my, yeah, fifth attempt.
And what score did you get?
Okay, so this was something which was very embarrassing for me and frustrating as well. It was, I got 660 again, but this time the what do you call, the breakup was Q49 and V32 instead of V31. It was V32. I mean, there was no difference in my score, but the percentile increased.
Okay.
So again, at that moment, to be honest, every single person in my family, in and as well, my friends as well, they were
Yeah.
asking me to stop. They said, stop this
No.
quest. Because see, they were, for example, worried about me, my well-being, because they thought that this guy is getting stressed day by day, and we cannot
Yeah.
see him that way, right? There is a limit when you're I mean there's a limit to to madness, right? You should just stop, right? That's it. That's it. So at that moment, Evan, to be very
Yeah.
honest, I was done. I was like, my God, I think I'm not the guy to take the test anymore, because I cannot
Okay.
get the score that I want. For example, I always
Mm-hmm.
wanted to score 720 plus. I'll tell you one thing. It's a fun fact. When I
Mm-hmm.
started my preparation, I mean, back in 2019, just above my study table on the wall, I had that sticky note that used to say Q50 V38. That's what I had written on my sticky note, that this is a target for me. I'm not
Okay.
aiming for V40 or something. I know I cannot do that, but this is the target that I have. Q50 V30. That's what I had written on that sticky note. Uh, when I came out of that test center after my fifth attempt, I thought that figure that I had written on that sticky note, I'm not going to achieve it, because I can see it, right. In the
Mm-hmm.
last five attempts, I was not able to even get over the 680 mark. How can I even touch 700 and even go beyond it? So at that moment, I thought I was done with the resources that I had, and everything is going against me, right? And at that moment,
Mm-hmm.
again, no sponsorship again. So I wrote down to GMAT. I told them, this is what has happened. I have taken five attempts. Is there anything left that I can do? So to that, EGMAT was very kind. One of the guys, his name is Dhananjay DJ, I guess. So he actually made a video wherein he actually analyzed my ESR. So he
Okay.
told me a very small thing, which actually turned out to be the best thing for me. That is,
Mm-hmm.
I was spending too much time on the questions I was not answering well, right? Answering wrong, basically. So,
Interesting.
for example, let's say I have one sentence correction question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in general, sentence correction questions should not take more than 1.5 minutes or maximum 2 minutes, right? Maximum, if the question is hard. Otherwise, I
Sure.
think you should be done by 1.5 minutes. That's what I think. So whenever I used to take the official exam, I used
Mm-hmm.
to ask myself that, Vinayak, this question should be correct, right? You should answer this question correct, no matter what. So I used to lose the track of time, and I used to cling to a particular question, whether this question is going to be right or not. I was
Mm-hmm.
not uh, telling myself that this question is out of your league, you should just dump it and move to another question, right?
Okay.
So the test taking skills were actually missing there. Apart from the anxiety, I actually needed to make sure that I was dumping the questions which were out of my league, and go ahead with the test, right? So I think the time management was not right. And the reason that the time management was not right, because I had that stress that whichever question I'm seeing, it should be marked correct no matter what. That kind of
Okay.
thinking I had, right? Now, one more thing, one more change that I did before my sixth attempt was, I created one error log.
Okay.
I So what I did was, even I mean, I went. I mean, I opened YouTube and I was searching for some videos. I mean, tips on reading comprehension and things like that. So I found one Manhattan free hour prep session video. I mean,
Yep.
there are multiple videos out there on their channel. So in that video, one of the lady, I mean, teacher, told about this thing, making a spreadsheet wherein you mention each and every mistake that you have done and
Mm-hmm.
just track those mistakes, what exactly you're doing. So I
Okay.
made a spreadsheet, and I used to write down each and every mistake
Yep.
that I was doing at that moment, and I used to track. For example, in one particular mock, whether I did the same mistake
Mm-hmm.
again or not. I was following that kind of approach. So this was the last thing that I did. The
Mm-hmm.
last thing before my sixth attempt, I was just checking my error log every now and then,
Okay.
and then after that, when I reached to the test center on that day, I told myself, uh, whatever happens today, you are anyway going to get, mm, if not 670, 680, you are anyway going to get 660. You have already got it two times, so
Okay.
that's the low that you can hit. That's the most that you can get. So I told myself, no worries, whatever will happen, let's get done with this exam. This is my last attempt. I selected the business schools, which were in that range only, 640 to 660. I
Mm-hmm.
started the exam, and I was not caring about the exam anymore this time around on my sixth attempt. And if a particular question was too difficult for me, I used to dump the question and just move forward.
Okay.
And at the end, when the exam ended, I got 730, Q50 and V38. That was
Magical.
no, no. It was like when I saw the screen, when I saw the result, I was glued to my chair. I was looking at the screen, and my eyes were teary. I was like, "What the hell is happening right now? Is it is it actually done? I mean, am I done with the exam? Is it actually happening?" Okay, and the proctor came and he stood
Yeah.
beside me and he said, "Would you like to accept?" And I looked at him and he said, "I think you want to. I think you want to." So
All right. So first off, congratulations. I mean that talk about sort of visualizing a goal, literally, and getting there. I have definitely a few follow up questions. The first being that during from your fifth to your sixth test, were your mocks increasing?
yes, yes. As a matter of fact, they actually increased. So uh, I think two of those Manhattan mocks were remaining at
Yep.
that moment, when after my fifth attempt. So when I took those mocks, I was scoring around 730, 740, something like that, which were
Okay.
in Manhattan mocks. So I was very happy with the result that I was getting in Manhattan mocks. And in so what I did was I took official mock six as well, the
Mm-hmm.
official mock six as well, just to see, just to make myself a little more accustomed with the
Mm-hmm.
the interface and all those things. So I took that mock, and in that mock I scored 770. So I
Whoa.
was happy because at that moment I was getting new questions, because I think the level got increased. So I
Yep.
was very happy with that. So at that moment also, to be very honest, Evan, when I saw those
Mm-hmm.
mock results, I was like, see, whatever the result I get in my mocks, I
Mm-hmm.
never replicate the same in exam center, so they don't matter to me very much. So so, but what I'm fortunate that when I took the test, I got good score.
Okay, so so the mocks were increasing. So even with your parents and your friends saying, maybe this isn't for you, you still could rely on that and say, well, you know what? I know I can do better because my mocks show I can do better.
Right.
Um, Now you mentioned you skipped questions on test day. What in your mind triggered you to skip a question on test day? Was it a time limit where you maybe spent a minute and a half on a question and you knew you
Hmm.
weren't making progress and you dumped it? Or was
Hmm.
it, did you actually look at a question and say, oh, I could be Albert Einstein and I'm not answering this thing. Why, I'm just going to hit the road here and try a different one. So what was that like?
No, the first thing that you said, I used to, I mean, obviously see the question first properly.
Mm-hmm.
I used to spend around 40 to 50 seconds or maybe 60 seconds at most.
Mm-hmm.
For example, in quant section, particularly, I used to solve the question and see where exactly I'm heading. And when I see that obviously I'm reaching that 2 minute limit, let's skip the
Yeah.
question and go ahead. Right. And in I think in sentence correction, I was following the same thing. 1 minute I used to give to the 1 minute, or let's say 1 minute 40 seconds at max, I used to
Mm-hmm.
give to a particular question, and then I used to skip. Right. So But there was one thing. Let's say there were only 20 minutes left in the test for
Hmm.
verbal part, and I saw one big ass question in critical reasoning, right, which is having this much text itself. So
Yep.
I'll tell myself, see, I will take 2 minutes just to read the text. Why bother? Let's go ahead, because we don't have much time, right? So that's what I did at that particular question.
As the resident CR expert, that breaks my heart a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, um, but yeah, so it's that. So you had a plan. You had a
Right.
plan, a time limit, and you abided by it, abound by it. See, even a native speaker doesn't even know English. And you were able to achieve that incredible score and hit your goal. Um, moving on a little bit, then
And
I had a little
what
some
one
yeah, go ahead.
one small sorry, Evan. One small thing, one different thing that I did this time around was that I explicitly wrote this thing in the spreadsheet, that if you get a difficult question,
Yeah.
just skip, don't take much time. For example, I actually wrote down all these instructions for myself that I should abide by, no matter
Yeah.
what. Because if you already anticipate what is going to happen in the test, you will be actually prepared. If you see any particular question, you should know that, okay, I anticipated that it was going to happen. That's perfectly fine, let's go ahead. Otherwise, the nerves will take over, and then you will not be able to perform optimally. So that's what I did.
Okay, perfect. You actually started to hit on what I was going to ask about. First off, ladies and gentlemen who are watching, we have an error log on the forum. And Vinayak apparently didn't discover that even after 6 attempts, but he made his own error log, which is more than fine. In fact, it's recommended as a best practice. But if you want to use our error log, that wouldn't be a bad thing. Um, Now, you mentioned stress. I saw people on YouTube asking about stress. And for those who are asking questions, ask all the questions you want. I promise we're going to get to them as soon as we're sort of done with the main portion here, which has been an hour and 11 minutes. So, Vinayak, I appreciate you hanging through here for over an hour already. How did you deal with stress on test day? You mentioned that you took mocks at the pre-prescribed time. You knew you had a game plan where you knew you were going to skip if something happened, but there are always those times where you sit down initially and your heart's racing and you know it's go time, and maybe you
Right, I
hit
know.
just that question and you know you want it, you know you need to have it, and you start to maybe get a little sweaty, your hands start to shake a
I know.
little bit. And how were you able to overcome that stress on test day, knowing that it's your sixth attempt, knowing that anything could go wrong, and knowing that the 660 is still on your mind? How did you climb that mountain?
So again, there were a few things. First was, I was not, this time around, I was not worried about the test, how it is going to be. Previously, when I
Mm-hmm.
used to take the test, I had this thing in mind that, see, if I don't perform well in the test, I don't know how my life is going to be. I will not get into a good business school. I will not get a good job. Things like that, race in my mind. But
Yep.
this time around, I didn't think of that. I thought that I'm just taking the mock at home the way I do every day. I mean, every week. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's the bottom line. I'm not taking something very different. I used to think about that. And if I used to get any difficult question, or for example, if my energy was getting
Mm-hmm.
drained during the test, I used to take a deep breath. uh, and I used to close my eyes just for a second. I used to take a deep breath and just think about the question again. That's it. And taking a deep breath and actually helps. It's magical. Just a single breath can change the way you are taking the test. I mean, it's incredible. And that's what Mr. McGarry told in that blog I was talking about, right, on
Yep.
magoosh.com. Yeah. So it actually helps. So I think not thinking too much about the test. And one more thing, Evan,
Yeah.
in last few tests, what for example, if I'm, let's say, in the midway of quant section, and if I see a question which has, what is the value of this, for example, 1
Mm-hmm.
divided by 2 divided by 3, it's a very simple fraction, what will be the value of this? I used to think of myself that, what exactly I'm doing with this test? Like, I'm already in midway, and this test is throwing me a fourth standard question. Why
Yep.
exactly it's happening? So I used to think whether I'm doing something bad, or maybe last few questions were
Yeah.
wrong. But it doesn't work that way. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier, but now in this test I was not at all thinking about the bloody algorithm that GMAT has. I didn't think about that. As I said, deep breathing that actually helped me, and not
Gotcha.
thinking about the future, what is there for me. I think that letting go was something which helped me.
Okay, and you hit on something very important, which is when you're a high scorer and you have those expectations, when you see an easy question, you automatically think, oh my God, I screwed up. This is
Exactly.
it. This is game over. And that's not the case. The GMAT throws you a lot of easy and medium curveballs. Even if you haven't answered a question wrong, Shavik, who used to do these, who scored really well, is at Ross, Michigan. He said something similar, which is he got one question wrong, but he was getting these easy layups and he was freaking out. So on test day, don't freak out. Keep yourself centered, as Vinayak just said. Vinayak, for your journey, it's been a long journey. It's almost 2 years. Do you have a theme song that you'd put to your journey? Ain't no mountain high enough. Everything is awesome from the Lego movie. What would be your theme song?
Have you seen Zootopia movie?
Of course.
So there's one song that is called "Try Everything." Have you
Okay.
heard that song? So it's my suggestion that you go and listen to that song. I mean, I cannot recall the exact lyrics right now, but "Try Everything" is the theme song for me, because I actually tried everything to get to this exam.
Well, you
so
didn't try my guides, so you
so
didn't try everything.
in "Try Everything" song, there's one thing that I think Shakira uh, is the singer of this song.
Yeah,
Shakira only, I guess. Yeah. So
I think.
Shakira only. So she says, "I will keep on making new mistakes every day. I mean, I will try everything, and I will keep making new mistakes every day." And I think that is something which we should get a lesson from. Making new mistakes is fine, and learning from your existing mistakes is very, very important, right? When we're talking about, right, analyzing our test or any particular question they are working on, we should take a lesson from those mistakes, and then move forward. Making new mistakes is just, it's fine, it's perfectly fine, but making those mistakes same, I mean, again, that is not fine.
I agree with you. You want to learn from your mistakes, and actually, in that line of thinking, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a super high quant score and you ignore quant for maybe a month or two, or even 2 weeks, your quant score is going to go down. And the same for verbal. You need to practice both. Otherwise, you will repeat those mistakes. So
Exactly.
make sure that if you make a mistake, that's fine. It's encouraged on the GMAT. In fact, you have to make mistakes. Make sure to not repeat them and learn. Let's see. What are your future plans? You've scored an incredible score. You've been applying to schools, I imagine.
Right. So
What schools, and what is that dream school of yours? Give us the details.
okay, so do you want the names of the school, or do you want to know what exactly I'm looking forward to in terms of?
Everything. This is your
Okay,
show, kid.
okay, fine. Thanks a lot, Ivan. so, so I think I want to land a job in strategy consulting post my MBA. I've been doing technology consulting for the last 4.5 years, and now I want to change my game and go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and work with the market biggies right now. So when I'm looking at for example, the curriculum of a particular university or the location of the university, uh, considering a lot of factors right now. So right now,
Mm-hmm.
if you talk about, I have University of Virginia Darden on my
UVA, good
UVA.
school.
That's cool. And I'm also considering UCLA Anderson. I'm also considering NYU Stern, and there are other colleges as well. So that's
What
what.
about UNC? Kenan Flagler is literally like, if you want to get into McKinsey Consulting, that's the school you go to.
I know. So that is also on my list, but I need a great campus. First of all, I want to have a great. I mean, people might think I'm mad, but I really want to experience a great campus in terms of the
You're not
location
mad.
and things
That's
like
awesome.
that. So I'm also considering that.
And you're sane to do that. You're insane for taking the test 6 times, but you are perfectly sane wanting a beautiful campus. Everybody wants a beautiful campus.
That's what. That's what.
You don't want, for example, BU, not to trash on BU, although it's the rival of my alma mater.
Hmm.
They don't have a campus. It's all concrete.
That's what.
So,
That's what. That's what.
do I trash on them for not having a campus? Of course I do. But it's not, I wouldn't choose going to a certain school because of that.
Right. Exactly.
But those are great schools. I'll be pulling for you. Please update the form at some point. We want to hear, we want to go through this process with you. Before we
Exactly.
dive into the online questions here through YouTube, do you have any last comments or thoughts that you didn't hit on that you wish we had? Anything nagging your mind where you're like, shoot, we needed to
Uh,
mention that and we should have?
No, nothing much. I guess first thing would be that
Mm-hmm.
whenever you are preparing for GMAT, take enough sleep. Right, you should not be sleep deprived because your brain takes time to uh, retain some information. So you should be good at that. You should take sleep because during my preparation days, I used to take 6 hours of
Mm-hmm.
sleep, which is not enough for your little mind. Right, you need more sleep.
Whoa, whoa,
Make
whoa! Who are
sure.
you calling little mind?
So so at least 7 to 8 hours you should take, and you should take break. Like if, every week you should have 1 day break, right? And you should do nothing at that particular day. It's not like you have to study for 7 days a week. That is not necessary. You should take 1 day break just to give yourself a little time off from
Mm-hmm.
GMAT. That is very, very important. And and lastly, I think everybody has their own way to improve.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has his or her own way of progressing in life. I have seen people posting YouTube videos that I prepared in 7 days and I scored 780 on GMAT. I have seen those kind of videos as well on YouTube. So you should not get bogged down by seeing those videos that, my god, this person has only spent 7 days or a few weeks and he got the GMAT score. Everybody has their own starting point, right? Maybe those people were genius from the very beginning, right? You should take your own time. And skills, I mean, knowledge is one thing, but a skill takes time to improve. So you should hang in there and take your time. That's it. That's what I want to say.
Great advice. Everybody starts differently. You took 2 years, others take 7 days. Everybody start, no, but I'm not even kidding. Everybody starts at a different point. Some people are Einstein. There's just no getting around that. Some people are
Exactly.
going to get an 800 on the GMAT with 2 days of studying. The
Exactly. Exactly.
majority of people are not that. The majority of people are not getting a 720 in 3 months. They just aren't.
Exactly. Exactly.
So please understand that. Don't be discouraged. Use this debrief to understand that you too, even the apparently all you small-minded folks out there, can get a 720, a 730. Those are
That
not
can
my
backfire.
words. Those are Vinayak's. Um, I'm just quoting.
I'm
I'm
a
just
saint. I'm a saint. Yeah.
as he calls you all small-minded. All right. Without further ado, let's jump onto YouTube. For those of you who don't know my setup, and unless you're my stalker and are looking through a window, you don't know my setup. I am going off of 3 different screens right now. So technically 4 if you count my dual monitor. So you are going to see me turning this direction. So I'm not going to be making great eye contact. I do apologize. I'll be going back and forth. So without further ado, let's answer some questions.
Okay.
Wow, not that many. Let's see. So Skyflyer said he really appreciates all the work that you've done. You're an inspiration. So does
Thanks a lot.
Himanshu. Um, oh,
Thanks a
not
lot,
many
Imanshu.
questions here. Storm says listening to you for 5 minutes is so motivating. Some more experience. Guys, again, this is why we do these. That way you can be motivated. Okay, here's our first official question. How you did 2 years and handled the pressure? It's so overwhelming. I think. Well, that's not even a question. I thought they were asking about how you overcame your stress, but we discussed that. Katie Manescu asked which schools you were going to. Katie, I'm sorry I beat you to the punch on that one. I actually want to follow up with Katie on this one. Vinayak, are you looking at any Ivy Leagues?
So I'm also considering Cornell as one prospect school. Rest, I think Columbia is also on the cards, but I believe that Columbia is more on what do you call this thing?
Stretch.
Stretch, or I think finance related, more on finance. I believe, maybe I'm wrong. I'm still researching about it, but I'm more into the schools which can provide me the opportunity to land in these big consulting firms. So I'm more inclined towards that. So I think,
Nice.
and yes, Colombia is of course it can be a stretch, but yes.
Well, I didn't I didn't mean to fill you in there. I'm not saying it should be a stretch for you. You got a great score. Um, by the way, for those of you who are watching again, please ask questions that we didn't get to. We're gonna answer them now. We'd be more than happy, as I speak for Vinayak on this one. We'd be more than happy to answer them and spend more time here. We really would be. That is why we are doing this. Um, okay, Gabon asks, how did you manage to stress in the main exam? Did you guess any questions? So we hit on that. That you did guess on questions that you managed to stress through a variety of techniques,
Right.
uh, both preemptive and during, which I thought was incredibly not only efficient but just incredibly bright of you to do. Most people don't do the preemptive; they just once they get there, they do the breathing techniques, and they may end up choking under that pressure. So kudos to you for that.
Thanks a lot.
Um, I don't know if you want to answer this. Katie asks how old you are.
It's 25.
Oh, you're so old. Um,
Excuse me.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay. We have one question. What kind of articles did you read on The Economist? Now, were you reading, like, for example, real estate articles? Were you reading about how to find inner peace? Or were you reading more about financial articles and stuff like that on the U.S.
No,
economy?
it was mix, to be honest. There was nothing particular. Majorly, I was looking at those articles which I don't have any interest in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I actually wanted to make myself in that kind of zone that yes, I can endure these kind of weird passages of for example, they are talking about any review of a particular book, or they are talking about something which happened in 1700s, things like these, right? So I read everything. There was nothing particular, but I was just reading everything miscellaneously.
Ah, so
That helps. That helps.
no wonder, no, the cooking and the artsy stuff. No, that's where you got it all from. I'm sure one article said how to beef up your Tinder profile in 5 easy steps.
My God.
We had a couple more compliments. Stu T. By the way, I apologize. I'm gonna botch all your names. I'm an ignorant, stupid American who can't pronounce names to save their lives. I pronounce my own name wrong half the time. So please don't be offended. If you are offended, please write to me again. Nightblade354, not KN, but NIGHTBLADE 354 on GMAT Club. I'll take all the hate mail you can provide me. I won't mind. In fact, I'll even respond to you. Not negatively. I'll respond positively. Again, another anxiety.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
So Vishal asks, can you please list out the books which you've read for GMAT preparation? I think I interrupted you. You mentioned Great Gatsby and Of Mice and Men, correct?
Great Gatsby. This thing. What do you call? Of Mice and Men. Siddhartha. And then after that, which book is that? Flowers for Elgargon. That's also a great book. Then after that, I read The Alchemist, and then after that, I read what was that name? I'm not able to recall right now. Yeah, but in this league only. And
Okay.
right now, as you speak, I'm reading this one, the Mockingbird one.
Oh, To Kill a Mockingbird?
Yeah,
My God, again, you're going through my high school experience right now.
I
Good
have
books.
to do it.
Okay, we have, is there any form to discuss the GMAT? You want to answer that one?
I have no clue. Sorry, Evan. Sorry.
So, Shiva Kumar, again, I apologize for the botching of the name. GMATclub.com, no spaces, no underlines. We discuss everything soup to nuts, A to Z. We have literally a billion resources for you to use. It's all free. it is a gold mine, so to speak, of GMAT information, and we highly recommend that you join because again, it's all free. We don't get anything. We just want to see your lovely faces out there so we can help you achieve a great score like Vinayak here. And that is called good salesmanship. um, I want to know how to start my preparation as a beginner. Vinayak, you sort of hit on the mistakes you made. What would you recommend to this user?
I believe first officially, take one official mock, see where you stand, and then after that, research. Go on GMAT Club, find out the articles, how people started, because whatever I'm going to suggest may be not appropriate for you. So just, for example, go ahead and see what people have done and in which bucket do you lie. It is possible you're already great at verbal and you don't need that much attention to verbal part, so you can start
Mm-hmm.
with quants. So just tailor your preparation schedule yourself, and that will really help.
Awesome. If I can add on to that a little bit, BB, who's the founder of GMAT Club, wrote a guide, a beginner's guide, a strategy A to Z, again, soup to nuts, about what he recommends. I have written guides on the verbal section. We have tons of professionals who have written guides on almost every subject, Bunel, GMAT Ninja, so on and so forth. So joining the club and looking at those resources and sort of getting an idea of where you need to begin, I think that can help you a lot.
True.
Next question. How many mocks did you take between the actual GMAT?
Or
Between 4 and 5, and then 5 and 6.
I think two only, two, three maximum, three, not more
Okay.
than that. Not more than that.
I recently appeared for the GMAT and scored a 680. By the way, congratulations. It's a really good score.
Great score.
I want to improve my verbal score. I am reapplying for the GMAT next 15 days. I think my weakest area is sense correction. How do I split my time? Vinayak, would you care to give them some
Exactly.
advice?
So, as you have mentioned, 15 days, you only have, I assume that you already prepared after 680, after scoring 680. So, if you're talking about sentence correction, I think you should go back to your guides and see, for example, any trend that you are seeing, that in what particular area you are making mistakes. So, I think if you have prepared any error log or anything of that sort, just go and review that and just pay much attention to that particular point as well, a point only, and then after that you should uh, uh, attempt these official question and find out where are you faltering exactly, and then when you are able to find the problem, then only you should go for the exam. Don't rush to take the exam again if you are not comfortable enough. So I think you should spend much time there.
I couldn't agree more. You have a great score to begin with. Don't go unprepared and then maybe start to deflate your not ego, but your confidence. Take your time, really study. I personally recommend Manhattan GMAT's sentence correction book. I
Exactly.
know a lot of students have loved that thing. So
Exactly.
read that cover to cover, and you should be able to beef up your sentence correction in the next 15 days. Our next question comes from A123. How did you deal with the emotional roller coaster of studying for 2 years? We hit on that a little bit, but there was an up and down. So, on the whole, just from a broad view, 3 mile up perspective, how would you say that you dealt with that in general?
So I think in general itself, as we discussed previously, at the end of the day, it's your goal, it's your what exactly you want to achieve after this battle that you fight with GMAT, right? So I think that should keep you more motivated, and you should think about your personality and what you are there to achieve. And I think this kind of motivation will come from within, right? People can tell you, okay, this will everything will be fine, you will do good in the exam, but again, you have to believe in yourself that yes, I can do it. No matter what, I will try my best, and rest leave everything. You can't do much, right? You can just
Mm-hmm.
do your effort, and rest you can leave to GMAC and their algorithm, right? So I think that's what you can do. Obviously there will be times when you will feel that you have hit a plateau and you're not able to go forward. It is
Mm-hmm.
possible, and it can happen, but at the same moment, you should believe in yourself. That's the key, I guess. That's what I did. I will not say that I was
Mhm.
not stressed. I was stressed, but somehow you have to manage it. I mean, that's the case.
Part of the journey.
Part of the journey. Part of the journey. That's what.
Hang on.
Okay.
Okay, so now then followed up. What I mean
Yes.
is
Yes.
I
Yes.
want to keep quant at 50, but improve
Okay.
just on verbal. Do I need to study quant for the next 15 days, or should I just focus on verbal? And Vinayak, I think we hit on that at the
Exactly.
end.
Exactly.
100, my opinion is 100% yes. You need to practice quant, otherwise it's going to go from
Exactly.
Q50 to like
Exactly.
Q45.
Exactly. Exactly.
Do you agree?
Exactly, the maintenance mode, right? You have to make sure that you are still there on that level. So make sure every week, at least for 2 3 days, you are doing questions and you know keeping yourself on that level. That is very very important. Don't miss that. Otherwise, when it will go from Q50 to Q48, you will never know. That's true.
Next question: did you change the section selection in any of your GMATs, or did you keep them the same?
The same only because I started with verbal and quants and then IR AWA. So that's the thing. I mean, I didn't change it.
Okay, which is smart. I think staying consistent, staying in routine helps a lot.
Exactly, exactly.
Uh, what is, and this is, I can answer this. What's the average age of students who join an MBA? The average age is 28, unless it's an executive MBA, in which case you're looking at your 30s.
Even it means if somebody is 25, he or she is not that old, right? That's what we meant, right? If I'm not wrong.
That's what you took from that comment, huh?
Just kidding, just kidding. Go ahead, go ahead.
You see, ladies and gentlemen, you say somebody's old, they take offense to it. They're going to hit you over the head with it over and over and over again.
Just kidding, brother.
You know, yeah. Let's see. Storm says I scored 610 on my application. I think that's wrong, but anyways, I scored a 710, and now I'm doing my and my essays are not done for my application. Should I shoot for round 3, or try hard to make it for round 2? Again, neither Vinayak nor I are consultants. My personal advice would be, if you can get your score up, try to do that, and always shoot for round 1. Quality is always preferred, but as you get later, round 2 and round 3 tend to get a little dicey. So be careful.
Be careful.
Hey,
Exactly.
Vinayak, anything to add on that?
No, nothing, nothing, nothing. You said the right thing.
All right. How do we have so many questions here? All right. Next question comes from. I lost my place. Vinayak, apart from your efforts between the fifth and sixth attempt, do you think you revealed nature in the last attempt was the main reason for the 70-point increase? Your relaxed nature. I apologize. I misread that. So do you think controlling your anxiety was the reason why you had that significant jump?
Definitely, Nishant. Definitely. To be very honest, during the preparation, I mean, between the fifth and sixth attempt, I didn't do much. I was, starting for let's say 3 days of maximum 4 days a week. I was not doing much because I knew I had already done all the preparation. So I think being relaxed in during the exam and during the preparation as well, really really helped. That was the driving factor for getting the right score.
Awesome. Next question comes in. Vinayak, having this experience, what would your ideal or best study plan for the GMAT be?
Okay, again, as I said, it's different for everybody. And as Evan suggested, that, for example, BB has given one guide, and many of the experts have given their own guides on GMAT Club. You can have a look at those and then figure out yourself what exactly will be the right path for you. My path was a little different because I had a different starting point. It might be entirely different for you, but I think sticking to the official sources and working on your mistakes, having a error log with you all the time, it will definitely help. And if you are not a native speaker, make sure that you read and read. That is going to help you a lot. Read quality material. That's very important. That's very important.
Wall
That's it.
Street Journal, New York Times,
Exactly, exactly,
Economist.
exactly.
And just add on to that a little bit, don't burn all your official mocks, nor and don't burn your official guide questions early.
Exactly,
That's the
exactly,
biggest
exactly.
thing.
That's the
Learn,
biggest thing.
and just for me, learn your fundamentals. If you learn your fundamentals, everything else will take care of itself.
Exactly.
Um, between 660 and 730, do you think you learned some new skills, and we hit on this, from an academic standpoint, or was it just a mental stability improvement on the test itself?
No, no, there was no addition of any of the new skills, to be very honest. I was just, looking at my mistakes that I was
Mm-hmm.
doing during my preparation. Basically, any test that I was taking or any quiz that I was taking, I was just looking at the mistakes, and there was no new skill addition during that time. It was just the mental stability. You hit the right point, Nishant.
Excellent. Da, 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 da. So we have one. Your story's motivating. We appreciate you saying that. Um, I think we discussed this after GMAT. Did you enroll in any other courses? And I believe the
Mm,
answer to that is no.
no.
Uh, Another good question. How did you manage your work-life balance while you were studying for the GMAT?
Right. So it's obviously it's a little challenging, but again, you have to make sure that you make a schedule of everything. Right. For example, if you are supposed to work from let's say 11 in the morning to 7 in the night, so make sure that you make a schedule, because if we want to be managers in future, we have to manage our life first of all, right, properly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, right. So that's, I think it's the part of your management journey, that you are managing your personal life properly, where you're balancing the job as well as your ambitions. That is very important. So I think you have to figure out yourself that what works for you, but having a schedule of everything will surely help you. And if you stick to your schedule, right, uh, you will find yourself more disciplined, and the same thing will reflect on your test as well. So make sure you do that. That's very important, because without your job, you can't do much, right? You are supposed to work and earn your bread and butter, right?
Well, so stay sane, guys. Exercise is one of the best things you can do
Exactly,
psychologically.
exactly,
It
exactly,
keeps you centered. It keeps you whole, even if it's for 25 or 30 minutes. Uh,
exactly.
keep at it. Our next question comes from Max Sheet. Hey guys, what would you recommend a student do in the last 7 days before their actual exam?
Nothing. I would say
Nothing.
not much. Not much.
Oh my goodness. Come on, man. Nothing. I know a lot of people say do OGs exclusively or take maybe a mock every other day. You say nothing.
Nothing, honestly, nothing. See, the key is to see what exactly you are going to do. Let's say in the last 7 days, if you stumble upon any particular concept, it is very highly unlikely that that concept will stay with you during the test, right? You might end up screwing your test just because you have learned new skill and you were practicing a lot. So I think before your exam, and
Mm-hmm.
for let's say for 4 5 days at least, you should be as relaxed as possible. You don't want to burn your energy that is there in your brain, not the little brain, right? Your normal size brain. And that is very important, right? You don't do much during those days, and just stick to your normal schedule. Maybe you can review your error log. That will really help, maybe just to make sure that at that particular day, that information gets retained. That is something you should do. Otherwise, don't do anything heavy. That is my advice.
All right. Another question from Nishant. During the break that you had on your last official test where you scored your 730, what did you do during that break to help keep your mind off of your score?
Which break we are talking about?
So on your tests, you get a physical break between sections.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so I think I mean the normal schedule was obviously you take your loo break, and then after that you eat something, right? So I used to take one banana and have some coffee that I used to bring from my home only.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment, just before, I mean the moment I used to sit on the chair in the waiting area, I used to take deep breaths 4 or 5 times at least, just to relax myself, just to get rid of that verbal
Just like
you
that.
know, mindset from your mind. And then
Yep.
after that, I used to take a sip my coffee, and I you know, previously I must admit that in my previous attempt I used to think, okay, now I think I have done good, and must score V31, V32 plus for sure. I did this and did that, but this time I didn't think about anything. I said, okay, fine, my verbal is done. Now let's hit the cons. That's it. It's my 8 minute break. I'm going to enjoy it to the fullest for sure. So that's what I used to do. Nothing much.
Nice. It's the right way to do it. We have a question about the error log. They want a screenshot of it. You don't have to. What I'll say is for the person who asked about the error log, uh, you feel free to use GMAT Club's error log, and subsequently there are examples of error logs on the forum, so please utilize those to the best of your abilities. Whoop. So this question is how much, and again, we've been going now for an hour 45. People have missed stuff, so it's okay to recant a little bit. How much time did you dedicate during your prep while having a full-time job? I think you said you spent about an hour or two a day.
That's what. Exactly.
Okay. Abhishek wants to know if it's a good idea to appear during these tests with COVID. I think it's fine.
It's fine. I mean, you do also have the online exam. Basically, you can take it at home as well. So I think that's also, if it works for you, you can go ahead with that. See, I cannot honestly, I cannot rely on my internet connection. That's why I generally go to the exam center to take the exam. So that's why. That's what.
Which is smart. And I think that's really it. We have a couple of questions that repeated themselves. So unless you have anything else you want to share, I'll conclude by saying that we at GMAT Club 1 really appreciate you doing this. 2, we appreciate everybody who stayed on for the hour 45. If you did, you're a trooper and you deserve an award of some kind. Because even I am starting to want to get up and move around. For those who are still watching, GMAT Club is we're doing multiple Christmas events throughout the next 2 or 3 weeks. One is sort of like the game of timers or the game of heroes that we did over the summer. Another is a scavenger hunt. And so we're going to be doing a lot. And it starts on Monday. We're going to do 12 days of Christmas. And we want all of you to participate because it can be a lot of fun. You can earn a lot of great prizes, and it's great participation on the forum. Someone like myself or BB or Bunel, Shavik, for example, if you get to see us and we get to see you a little bit, and it allows you to connect to the forum a little better. So we hope to see you there. Vinayak, any last comments before we conclude here?
I would say all the best to everybody who is about to take the test. And by any chance you falter on any of the tests, don't worry, you will get it next time. So that's it. Chillax.
And actually, can these people reach out to you if they have any questions?
Yes. Why not?
And what is your username?
It's Vinayak Khosla 001. Let me just check it again. I forgot. I'm really sorry. 1 second.
Wow, it's like not knowing your social security number. It's like not knowing your date of birth. Like,
oh my God.
What's that GMAT Club name
Fine.
again?
Okay, so it's V Khosla 001. I can. Should I post? I mean, should I write it down? Will it help?
No,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay, fine. I'm pinging you the same thing, Evan.
If people have, I'm not even gonna pull it up. If you look on the forum, you can find him, or if you go under our debrief section, his will be the title that it took 2 years and 6 attempts to get to 730. So fairly obvious one there. Not all students do that. Vinayak and everyone else who participated here, thank you so much. We wish you from GMAT Club a very Merry Christmas. We probably won't have another debrief this year unless Olga does one. I know all of you are disappointed. I'm not Olga. Sorry, she can't do every single debrief, guys. So have a very Merry Christmas. Have a happy Hanukkah to our Jewish brothers and sisters out there, and to any other holiday I'm missing. Happy holidays as well, and take care.
Thanks a lot, Evan.